Hello, and welcome to the CoronaCast comedy show. Here with me, Deliso Chaponda. My head is large because I'm just moving my cursor out of the way of the screen. Yes, excellent. So welcome to the CoronaCast comedy show. If this is your first time tuning in, this is a show where I, Deliso Chaponda, comedian with no crowd because of COVID, entertains you, the people of the world, be you on Twitch, be you on Facebook, be you on Instagram, be you on YouTube. I welcome you all. Welcome to my comedy living room of death. So today we have got a fabulous episode, a fabulous, brilliant, ingenious episode, which is called Let's Mock Racists. Why have I done this show? Because over the last 2-3 weeks, we've been talking about racism a lot, and people have been taking it very seriously, which is good. Racism is scary. Racism is horrible. Racism is responsible for a lot of the world's injustices. But at the same time, not often enough are people reminded that while racism is all those things, racism is also stupid, right? It is so dumb. I mean, think about it. Saying that some people are more superior to other people because of skin color, because of a physical feature, it's so dumb. Imagine I started telling you that people with bigger ears, right? People with bigger ears are more intelligent than people with small ears. You would say this is total nonsense. Imagine I started telling you that people who've got, blue eyes are more violent than people who've got brown eyes. You'd think it's idiotic. It's one of the most idiotic, dumb, numbskull things, and so many things that racists do are dumb, stupid, ridiculous. So as much as we need to take racism seriously, I think it's important every now and then to say it's bloody stupid and tell people that yes, maybe don't be racist for moral reasons, but if you can't think of any moral reasons, just don't do it because it's dumb, right? Because it's stupid. So this whole episode is just going to be me mocking racists, me roasting racism through the ages, right? But before we get started, you've got to understand, I do this for free. This is just a show which I put out every day. I still got to eat. I still got to pay my bills. So this month, I am bringing back Feed This Black Man. If you don't know what Feed This Black Man, that was my very first show, which I did in Canada. Okay, so Feed This Black Man 2020 is coming back. If any of you want to be entertained in a way that actually pays my bills a bit, there's several options for you. So July 8th coming up. You can buy tickets now. There's going to be Apocalypse Not Now, my new stand-up comedy hour. If you enjoyed What the African Said and Blah Blah Blacklist, you want to get tickets to this, you can buy this anywhere in this world. This is going to be a Zoom show where I'm going to do an hour of jokes. Or if you are in the UK, July 24th, 25th, 26th, I'm going to be doing drive-in shows in London and Warwick. So you can buy tickets to those, all the details at africancomedian.com. Then if you are in Manchester, you can hire me to meet you and take you for a socially distant comedy walk with a few of your friends and tell jokes as we walk around the city. Finally, anywhere in the world, if you want a personalized Zoom comedy show, I've been doing it for a few companies. I can also do it for families. I can do it for cults. I will not judge you. I won't do it for one person because that might be awkward. But if you've got a few of you, I will do a personal Zoom show. Okay, so that is what is going to happen. So let's get started. Let me close this. I'll take a look at the chat and then I will start the actual show. Okay, so hello, hi. So Jenny Craddock wants to know, where is the panda? So the panda has started doing, you could probably see the panda just way over there. started doing yoga. So the panda is currently upside down. It's a bit like Where's Wally? You have to know that the panda is there to notice the panda, what the panda is currently up to. Okay, let's see what the other comments we've got. So you've got I Am Jesus. You're saying it's horrible. Yes, indeed, racism is horrible. You want to send this to your grandma to put some sense into your... It's tough when it's someone who is older because it's part of who they are. It's hard to change your mind at 70, let alone at 40. Okay, and I am interacting with the chat. Indeed, I Am Jesus 1 2 3 4 5 6. I'm interacting to you, and I hope you've got your 12 disciples watching this show too. I Am Jesus. Okay, yes, tickets are now available for the drive-in show Sam Marks. It's going to be on my website, within an hour of this show ending. Or even if you just Google drive-in show Warwick or London, you will see where the details are. Excellent. So let's get started, ladies and gentlemen, and discuss and mock racism. We're going to start with the granddaddy of racists. Like if there was like a racist superhero or a racist mascot or, the racist of racists, I think we'd all agree it would be Adolf Hitler and the Nazis. What a dumbass, right? What a dumbass. Who does that to their face? Look at this idiot's hair. Look at this idiot's mustache. And do you know what makes it even more absurd? Is that he was persuading people and he was making speeches about how to justify all of their racist ideals, they are the Ubermensch, they are the superhumans, they are the Aryans, they are the perfect human beings. How dumb do you have to have someone telling you that they are the perfect human being when they look like that? Look at him! I would understand maybe if it was some muscular Adonis figure with like long flowing hair and some perfect, but look at him! Looks like an accountant, right? How crazy is that? And there were so many ways. We all know the evil things that the Nazis did. Let me tell you of some of the dumb things they did, some of the stupid things they did, okay? So, to respond to some criticism of their book burning, because they were burning books, and people were angry. They said they were going to prove that their culture was the Uber culture, the Aryan culture, the perfect culture. So, they set up an exhibition called Entarte Kunst, right? Which means degenerate art. So it was a degenerate art exhibition, which was art from, Jewish people and gypsies and all the people they considered degenerate and lesser, right? And they put up these paintings, they put them haphazardly in the gallery, they tried to make it as shit as possible, right? So they made this degenerate art gallery showing called the Degenerate Art Gallery. And then down the road, they had their exhibition, which was called the Great German Art Exhibition, with sculptures and paintings from all of the great Aryan artists. And I'm sure you can see where this is going. The Degenerate Art Exhibition, which they were trying to prove is so terrible, was 5 times more popular than their perfect Aryan German exhibition. Everybody wanted to go to the degenerate art one. Partly also because if you call something degenerate art, where are you going to go? Who's going to go to the wonderful, poetic, magnificent, great exhibition? Or if down the road there's the taboo, nobody should watch this forbidden exhibition. Everybody's going there. So like absolute idiots, they realized it wasn't working, so they ended the exhibition and then they burnt all the paintings and stuff which were in the degenerate art exhibition. But it was just one moment where, and then similarly, another thing which happened, which was just as funny, is in 1935, they decided to have a prettiest baby competition. I don't understand prettiest baby competitions, but apparently this happens, right? I don't know if it's like a beauty pageant and instead of like having a bikini round, it's the diaper round. How do you judge what is the prettiest baby? But they decided to have the prettiest baby to show the greatest German baby. And they were looking at Goebbels, Joseph Goebbels, who was the Minister of Propaganda. He was the one deciding, and the baby they chose, the baby which was the most beautiful, I think you could see it coming, was Jewish. They didn't realize until they made the choice. They're like, oh no, what dumbasses. Anyway, so that's a few things we've got to say about the dumbasses that were the Nazis. Let me take a look at the chat before I keep going. Hi, Nigerian Wale Odufote. Did I say your name right? I'm glad you are enjoying my show. Thank you so much. Dionara, that's a lovely thing to say. Very good to have you here. It has been a while. In a racist society, it's not enough to be non-racist. We must be anti-racist. Racism is stupid. I agree indeed, Willem. Okay, let's keep going. As always, please, if you're enjoying the show, please put comments. Please comment a lot because number one, it makes me realize that I'm not just a madman talking to myself, but also it lets me know that everything is broadcasting fine and so on and so forth. Okay? So let us keep going with Let's Mock the Racists. We move on, of course, to if you had to try and pinpoint who created racism, where did racism come from? People often point to 16th and 17th century with the slave trade and colonialism. Why do I say that? Because there'd always been distrust between nations and people of different sides. You know, English people maybe hated the French people and went to war with them, or Germans hated the Dutch and went to war with them. But at the same time, it had always been, we trade with these people, we kind of dislike them, but it had never fully been this ideology that we are superior to them. They are inferior to us, right? Even when people were trading, like let's say they were trading to India, they were trading with China, or they even trading with Africa to like the coastal cities, it was, these are just another group who have different views, and it wasn't yet as insidious, that idea of we are better and we are greater. And it sort of came into popularity and came into being as a justification for racism and for slavery and colonialism. Now, what do I mean by that? Now, first of all, a lot of people always argue with me. Few things I've got to say. Some of these I've said before, but they bear repeating. The first one is, a lot of people will sometimes say, oh, what are you going on about the slavery? There was slavery in Africa long before the Europeans came, and they're right. But you need to look into the specifics, right? So before the Europeans came to Africa, there was slavery. There were around 60,000 slaves across the whole of Africa before the Europeans came, which is a lot. But they showed up and they cranked that shit up. They cranked it up to 60 million. From 60,000 to 60 million, okay? They found a corner store and they turned it into a department store, right? So it became so much huger than it ever before, and it had to be justified because a lot of people, even then, some of it seems a little bit, it's like, what, you want us to own these people, you want us to be selling these people, but if you can justify it with they are beneath us, they're not human, they're subhuman, they're animals, that kind of ideology, that kind of attitude became really popular back then, right? That's when it became really popular, and they've screwed us for now. They've screwed us forever. Even now, we're struggling with racism. These bastards created it back in the 16th century. Fuck you! I've got to tell you, it is so crazy. And some of the other things I want to make fun of them is some of the ways they used to justify it. Would you believe that they were mostly Christian? A lot of them were Christian. There were some Muslim slavers, but in terms of that 60 million, the larger percent of it was Christian slavers, and they used to use passages from the Bible to justify it. Yeah, they used Genesis 24 to 27, where Ham's son was made a slave to his brother, right? They used another phrase in the Bible where it mentions slavery to say, you see, slavery is okay. But the thing with these idiots always make the mistake of, and other people who use the Bible to justify whatever nonsense they want to, you've got to understand the Bible. You've got to read the whole thing. You can't take a chapter or a verse right at the beginning and say, aha! You know what I mean? You've almost got to look to use common terms that we use in this day and age. The Bible is like a box set, okay? It's like the box set of creation. It's a box set show. You can't watch episode 1 and think you understand the whole show. Just because these two characters hate each other in episode 1 doesn't mean they won't fall in love by the end. You have to read the whole thing. You have to think about all of it together. One of the most irritating things that people do is they jump on one line, use it to justify whatever nonsense they think. Well, you gotta read the whole thing, right? What dumbasses. Okay, let's keep this going. Oh, we've got a few people saying, why are my drawers open? I know it pisses off a lot of people. Don't worry, Jenny Craddock. I will get to it. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. Let's do that. Also, let's change the panelist position, because that yoga position, the blood was going into his head. Who knows what would have happened if he went on for too long. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have gone on. We have gone on. Let us go into the next point. Let's go into the next point. Here we go. Yes, Ruler of the Galaxy says there is slavery all over the Bible, but my point is not that there's slavery mentioned. My point that it is not a justification for it. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, let's move on to interracial relationships. I gotta bring this up, okay? Because there are a lot of people who dislike interracial sex, interracial relationships. I'm going to do an old joke right over here because it suits it, and it's better than the new jokes I've written. So I'll do an old joke, then new joke. So if you've heard the first joke, be patient, the new ones are coming. Some of the most insidious racism you see is in places you don't expect. Like sex shops. I went into a sex shop. And right in the open, they've got regular porn. People having sex. Then at the back, in a little room, they've got the twisted stuff. People pissing on each other. The weird stuff. Now what offends me, what bothers me, is interracial is in the twisted section. They're saying for a white woman sleeping with me is the same as being shat on. Now that's a silly joke, but it is based on a weird thing. It's based on the fact that often interracial sex in history has been considered taboo, illegal, a fetish, something deviant, something unacceptable. And I've heard it all my life. Even in this day and age, people say these things. I still remember getting warned by an uncle in Malawi. An uncle in Malawi at a wedding had sat us all around, and he was giving us all advice, and he was saying, he was warning us about the white women, the dangerous white women, right? Saying stuff like, they're all crazy women, they will divorce you, they have no morals, they have sex with everybody, all these crazy kind of stories about white women, right? And then also, when I started dating a white woman, you get it in lots of ways. Now, most people will not be blatantly racist, right? In this day and age, most people know that's not acceptable, but they will say things which are code. They'll say things which are code. For example, I was dating a white woman for 3 years. Or maybe it was 5 years. Well, we were together for quite a while in university, right? And I remember her friends. She told me that her friends had said things to her like, you're dating him and he's African and, he's black. Do you find there any problems you have because of all the cultural differences, right? And I even had people saying to me, you can have a relationship with her, but the cultural differences will come into it. And I was like, what are you on about? The cultural differences are the problem. I've had many relationships. I've had many of them fall apart, right? Never has it become that the relationship fell apart because of cultural differences. You know, we laugh great together, we have great sex, but I like rap music and she likes punk rock. Oh my God, how disgusting. Get out. Put your panties on. How dare you listen to that music? And on the flip side, right, I know of no person who is in a horrible relationship with someone who's an alcoholic, who beats them, who cheats on them all the time, and they're like, you know, I would break up with him, but we've got so many common cultural touchstones. We read the same books when we were growing up. Ah. Who cares about cultural differences? So that is another thing which needs to be mocked, because even among people who think that they are not racist, there'll often be people who are not racist with everything. They've got friends of different races, friends of different cultures, but the moment one of their kids starts dating someone of a different culture, they start freaking out. Watch yourself if you're one of those. Watch it. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, take another look at the chat. Take another look at chat, see what people are saying. Okay, here we go. Why am I whispering? Does it sound like I'm whispering? Does it sound like I am whispering? Is there a sound issue? Dianora says I am whispering. Does anybody else have a problem with the sound? I can crank it up, but I think it's pretty good. Okay, let's keep going. Your current beau is Puerto Rican and black. He has good tan on his arms, face, and leg, but lift his shirt and he's pretty fair-skinned. He's a melange. He's a little bit of everything. Ellie, McCarran, you may have found the perfect beau, because people who are a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of that, they are magnificent. Okay, let's keep going. On Twitch, it is good, ruler of the galaxy. Glad to hear. Also, anyone on Twitch, I think that I am now Twitch affiliated. So if any of you want to do a cheer or something like that, it now is enabled, I believe. Okay, let's keep going. When I start talking about the dirty joke. Okay, so let's go on to some other racists we can mock. Okay, people, it's time for the granddaddy group, possibly the dumbest racist in the world. That is the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan, who are absolute idiots, right? One of the things is they say that they are a Christian organization, but they burn crosses. You burn the thing which you are saying is most important to you. It's so dumb, I can't even write a joke about it. What are you doing? Could you imagine if I tell everybody, hey, I am such a big fan of Manchester football team. Let me set all their shirts on fire. Let me set all their hats on fire. Woohoo! Woohoo! What dumbasses, right? Now that image is one that is not photoshopped. Yes, as you can see, that is a picture of the KKK at a fairground, and they're on a roller coaster, right? Or since it's the KKK, maybe we should call it a holocoaster, right? The KKK at a fairground. Why are the KKK at the fairground? Now, interestingly, they used to be mainstream. If you go back to like the 20s, the KKK was a mainstream organization. They weren't yet like a hide in the shadows kind of organization. Even though they still used to cover their faces, they used to have national parades. They used to have beautiful baby contests. I don't know why beautiful baby contests keep coming up with racists, but I guess it's that idea of the perfect human being, this perfect white baby. They had beautiful baby contests, and they had fairground things. Now, can you imagine that? They used to sponsor fairgrounds, and that was one of their pictures of them at a fairground. That's like if you find out that Al-Qaeda was having board game nights. And if Al-Qaeda was having board game nights, I guess they would mainly be playing Jenga, right? It's like finding out if Boko Haram is having Scrabble tournaments. It's so bizarre. But whatever games they were playing, I think we can all agree that the Ku Klux Klan must have played lots of Dungeons and Dragons. Because have you heard the way that they name members of the Ku Klux Klan? It's ridiculous. So the chaplain is called the Klud. The treasurer is called the Klabi. They literally name these things like they're writing Klingon, just random cool sounding words so they can feel like they're cool. Oh, and then they also like to feel like they're badasses, right? So they're couriers. The people who just send around messages are called the Nighthawks. And then you may have obviously heard they've got their people who are at the top echelons of the KKK are called the Grand Wizard of the KKK, and the Grand Dragon of the KKK, and the Great Titan. What dumbasses! Just play Dungeons and Dragons. Leave us alone. Let us keep going. Let us keep going. Pictionary. Yes, they should play Pictionary. And SATG Barbadian says, racist weakness is beautiful babies. I think it might be. I actually think it might be. Maybe that's how we need to distract them. Just have pictures of beautiful babies and they will stop in their tracks and say, ooh, it's so cute. Isn't it cute? And then you twat them on the head. Okay, let us keep going. We keep going to an image of white Australia. Now, this actually, I'm using this to represent immigration and racist immigration policies all around the world, okay? Not just in Australia. But I use Australia as an example because they had a white Australia policy, which meant that for around 40 years, they only allowed people who were white to immigrate into Australia, right? And one of the things about immigration is it's one of the last places where racism is unchallenged, because the entire idea of immigration roles has got some xenophobia in it. Is that we need to protect our country from these foreign people who are coming in and are going to steal all our stuff or exploit our resources or steal our jobs. And it's a difficult one because some immigration rules are necessary because you don't necessarily have the sustainability to just have totally open borders. But at the same time, if you start looking at the way that countries choose who's allowed in, if you start looking at their point systems, and you start looking at, people with these diseases, which often ethnic people have, disqualify you for immigration, while people with these similar diseases, which non-ethnic people have, are totally fine. You start seeing that even in the legislation, they bake it in. I don't know why this is my baking. That's more of my ironing. Okay, they iron in the racism. I don't think, they bake. I need to work on my mime. Okay, I'm a comedian. I'm a very bad mime. Okay, but my point is, they hide it. They put it. It's so dumb, right? And why do I say it's dumb? Because often, if you talk to racists, they operate not in their own best interests. Like in the UK, there are people who are like, I want to be treated by a British doctor, right? I only want to be treated by a British white doctor. And I'm like, how dumb are you? How dumb are you? If your daughter is sick, do you want the cleverest doctor, even if they happen to be African or Indian or Chinese, or do you want the whitest doctor? Their whiteness is not going to help your daughter's heart, right? You need the best cardiac surgeon, whatever color. You are not operating in your own interest. And I say this because my brother is an infectious disease specialist in Liverpool, right? And he's told me about there's been patients who come see him and refuse and say they want a white doctor. And he's a specialist. And people try to explain to them that, you're going to be seen by a doctor who's not as qualified because he's the specialist. He's the one you want to have see you. And then, no, we only want a white person. We only want a white person. People, it doesn't make sense. And I'll tell you what, I actually feel bad for doctors because they just have to take it. They just have to take it. If you've got a racist patient, you treat him anyway, right? You can't just, swap his pills for laxative or something like that. And if I had written the Hippocratic Oath, which says do no harm, so morally, doctors always have to help even if the person is toxic. I got to admit, if I was writing the Hippocratic Oath, I would have said do no harm. But if they've just insulted me, I can have a little bit of fun on them. You know what I mean? I can have a little bit of fun. I'll still heal them. They won't die. But, I'll give them a little bit of, I'll inject them with something that gives them a rash, or, I'll use pink bandages or something. But no, doctors just swallow it because they have to do no harm. And all over the world, people use immigration policies and it's horrible. Like Idi Amin in Uganda in 1972, right? He woke up and said he had had a dream. He had had a dream that Allah had instructed him to expel all of the Asians out of Uganda and confiscate all of their land and chase them all out and not allow any new Indians to immigrate into Uganda. This came to him in a dream. In a dream. Now, I just wonder if some people who are on his cabinet wanted to say, but didn't say because you didn't want to be killed, right? They didn't want to say, like, are you sure that dream came from Allah? Are you sure? Are you sure? Because, you had like a big meal yesterday. You had like a really big meal. And a big meal before you go to sleep can give you strange dreams. Like, 2 weeks ago, you dreamt that you were naked in a stadium and that there were little elves teasing you. Do you think God sent that one too? Or it's just this screw all the Asians? And it's kind of like, of all the dreams, it seems the most self-serving because you get to steal all the... Oh, no, it was God. Don't shoot me, don't eat me. What a dumbass. Let's keep going. Before I go, let's see how people are doing. White, black, brown, doesn't matter. We're all the same. Eat, fart, and sleep. You are right. So good to see. So good to see. Let's go on to the next racist, which we are going to mock. Now, we're going to mock and talk about segregation. Segregation is a thing that has happened all around the world. It's probably most often depicted in South Africa and in the 40s, 50s of America, but it's actually been a global problem, right? So it's things like having white-only benches, blacks-only benches, whites-only restrooms, blacks-only restrooms. These people treat human beings like we treat laundry. Whites only, coloreds only. Do they have like an extra one for fragile things only? Delicates? Is there a tumble dryer which we don't see behind the toilet? I don't understand. He's a human being, not clothes. And it's global. There's been segregation in Belgian Congo, in China during the Tang Dynasty, in Latin America, in Germany, in the US. It's been such a global thing that I actually think you could actually divide the world between people who've had segregation and countries which haven't had segregation, and the countries which have had segregation, they can urinate in those toilets, and the people who haven't had can urinate. It's such a problem, and the reason why I felt that I needed to mock something about it. The worst thing about it is it's based on logic. It's based on bad logic. It's always based on bad logic because they've always got to justify it like they're good people. Like, for example, one of the things which they used to say during the 1940s in America when they were saying why they had white schools and black schools, they were like, hey, we have to have these separate schools to give the black people a chance, because the blacks could not compete with the brilliant white brains. So we're not being evil. We're helping them. That's what I hate about racist stuff, is that not only are you being racist, but they always find a way to say they are helping you, right? It's like, oh, we're helping you. It's like punching someone in the face and saying, what do you say? Say thank you. It's absurd, right? And then the other one is, like, if you go to like the rhetoric in South Africa before apartheid was implemented, a lot of it was saying that, well, look, our white culture has come to their black nation and we've destroyed their culture, right? We've been destroying their culture, we've been destroying their languages. So why don't we implement a system which is going to let them hold on to their culture, right? So they will have black areas where they can sing their songs, they can read their books, and their culture will be untouched. And we will have white areas where we can sing our songs and our culture will be untouched. And we're doing it as a favor to them. We're helping them by sort of giving them their area. And then someone's like, okay, I like this idea. What area do we get and what area do they get? It's like, oh, well, this area here, which has all the, fertile land and has all of the mines and all of the gold. Let's take that, okay? You see that area like near the swamp and that arid area? That's the white area. Sorry, that's the black area. Give the black people that. We'll take the area with the fertile land. And, oh, what about this area here that's a little bit like... I don't know, it's got a bunch of problems. The roads are all full of potholes. Let's give that to the Indians. Yeah, let's give that to the Indians. So they're like, we're doing it for your own good. But then when it comes to splitting up the country, that's when they start getting clever. Oh, I know I was saying they're dumbasses, but they're clever bastard dumbasses sometimes. Okay, let's keep going, and we're going to do the final one. Bhavan is saying video call. You're saying video call? Yes, I am now offering video calls. Bhavanraj PO1809. If you go to africancomedian.com after this show is over. Actually, I think my web designer is making the page tonight. But if you check tomorrow, there will be details of how you can get a video Zoom call. But it's like groups of 1 or 2 or 3. I think the prices are something like £150, and I will do a half an hour show. And you can personalize the jokes and send me subjects or details about yourself if you want jokes about it. So that's the video call information, Bhavan Raj. Okay, let's see. In Philippines, we segregate the DDS and the Dilawan. And you think it is stupid. What is the DDS and what is the Dilawan, Neil Javier? I don't actually know what the DDS and Dilawan is. Are those ethnic groups? I am not sure, okay? Hello, Whitaker, and hello, Dadank Raccoon. Good to have you here. Okay, I'm about to do the last subject. Before I do the last subject, I will say to you, thank you, all of you who have tuned in. Also, if any of you are interested, at 8 p.m., so in around 20 minutes, I will be doing a thing where I play a video game and I chat. So it's no jokes, no written jokes. But if you have questions, if you just want to chill, I play some chill music, have a little bit of a chat, play a video game on twitch.tv/Daliso Chaponda. You're welcome to come and join us. I apologize to the people who came yesterday and I had to disappear for a business call. Today there's no expected business call, so I'll be around for an hour and a half to 2 hours playing a game and chilling. Okay, let us go on to the final racists we are mocking. And here I'm going to end by going to South Africa, because what's sad about South Africa is there was a history of racism, horrible racists all through the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, and then there was a watershed moment. There was a watershed moment in the 90s when Mandela comes out of prison and the end of apartheid, and you would hope that there is now wholesale change. You'd hope that the next generation who are now in power are going to be much more accepting. But of course, the worst thing about it all is it affects all of us. Everybody gets some of the racist echoes. Like, for example, people always talk about, white people suffer from racism too, right? Because we're all living in the same swimming pool. And if someone shits over there, it affects everybody. And it might affect you in a different way. It might affect you in that you grow up with, I'm not even sure. But trust me on this. I know people who are white and, descendants of slave masters, and the system doesn't necessarily help you either, right? It's a horrible thing which has ripple effect. But anyway, there's all sidetracked to talk about how these people in South Africa, a lot of poor South Africans who had been oppressed, right? Years after gaining their freedom, turned on each other. They were xenophobic attacks. They've been them 3 years. There was some last year. There was some 3 years ago. There was some 4 years ago. And what do I mean xenophobic attacks? So this is black on black violence, right? So what happened was there are a lot of poor people. There's an extreme problem of poverty. In fact, racism is generally always linked to economics. It's actually about money, right? Who do you blame for the reason that you are broke? Easy, blame other race, blame other countries, right? So there are poor people in the townships who are frustrated and poor, and they were sort of, they had in their communities immigrants. So these are other black people, but like Nigerians, Malawians, Kenyans, so non-South Africans. And they got so frustrated and they were agitated by some politicians who were using them as an easy people to blame. And they had xenophobic attacks. So they started attacking each other, attacking the poor. This is where I say it's dumb, right? Because you are broke, right? You've got over there all the rich people who have all the money, right? So those guys over there have millions. You have 300. You have 300 rand. They have 1 million rand. You don't blame them. You don't blame them for your problems. You look around your township and you see the Nigerian who has 500. You see the Malawian who has 600 and you're like, they're to blame for my problems. And you attack them, leave the rich people, right? It's so crazy, but it always happens. Poor people fight each other, and it was very depressing, very sad. I wouldn't make fun of the violence itself, but crazy things were happening. Like Boko Haram. Boko Haram, the Nigerian terrorist group, right? Well, they're not just Nigeria, they're all over the world. But there's some Boko Haram in Nigeria. They heard that in South Africa, Nigerians were being attacked and some had been killed. They got angry and they made a video. Racists are all about the videos. Terrorist groups love filming videos. So they filmed a video, right? There's so many terrorist videos that are getting better. They used to be grainy and then they were better angles. I actually think we're going to get to the point that in one day in the Oscars and in the BAFTAs, they're going to have a best terrorist video section, right? And that way at least a few brown people will get nominated. Boom! In your face. But this is what I'm saying. Boko Haram sent a video. Boko Haram sent a video saying, hey, stop killing innocent people. They're a terrorist group. What was their point? Don't kill innocent people. That's our job. The saddest thing, too, about the xenophobic stuff is they're intelligent people who have those xenophobic views. It's not idiot. As much as I make fun of it and say they're all idiots, one of the saddest things that even though inherently all the hate and all the racism is stupid and ridiculous, they're intelligent people who somehow will have these views. I had a girlfriend who used to have these xenophobic reviews. She still doesn't say it was xenophobia, absolutely reviews, but she would always say these things about the foreigners in South Africa. While she was dating a foreigner who was in South Africa, but somehow I didn't fit. I was the one good one. I didn't understand. And it was a constant thing we argued about. And she was like, you don't know, you don't live here. Huh? You don't live here, right? They bring the drugs, they bring the violence, they bring all these things. And I'm like, anyway, that's a whole other story. I'll probably do another episode about dating someone who's got views which you think are ridiculous and trying to reason with them and all of the crazy things that happen. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the special Let's Mock Racism edition of the Corona Cast Comedy Show. We will be back tomorrow with another episode. And if you enjoyed the show, please tell a friend. Please, I'm going to post. It's going to be on YouTube. Please tell a friend. Please keep tuning in. And please also consider these ways that you can make sure that I can still feed myself. Feed this black man 2020. We're going to end the show with just talking about Feed This Black Man 2020. Come to buy tickets for the Next Up Comedy Fest or the drive-in shows in London and Warwick, or you can hire me, your company, or whoever to do a personalized Zoom show or to go on a socially distant comedy walk with you. Consider all of these. Have a great night. And good night. Good night. Good night from the CoronaCast Comedy Show.